Kenny, welcome into Celtics fourth quarter live, and we got a great game on our hands tonight, Chuck. We want to welcome you in, make all of you a part of this final part of the broadcast that we'll be with you anyway, and we're here with you until the end of this game. So for the next at least probably half hour, because as things stand, we're late in the third quarter. Things going well for the C's. As you know, you're probably watching, up by 7-8 points right now, and we'll dive into all the specifics, get into some bigger picture stuff as well. If you want to be part of the FanCred fan line, you can get that in the top right corner of your screen. We'll push you face-to-face. You can join us just like we are right now, and it'll just become a giant Celtics party. But, Chuck, I mean, I said it already. I've been tweeting it like crazy. You can get us on Twitter, by the way, if you don't already, and shame on you if you don't. This is what the Celtics do. I mean, no matter how badly they play, and they're coming off of that crap road trip where they go 0-3, and they're not only physically sparring with one another, but sparring through the media with one another, they perform well, especially at home against good teams. They have a knack for rising to the occasion. They're doing it against the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been, aside from the first 12 minutes of the game, where the start was a little bit choppy, a few too many turnovers. So I was, I was a little bit concerned, thinking, "Oh man, are we not going to get that team that we thought would show up?" But they've been spectacular in the second. They were spectacular in the second quarter. The bench was unbelievable. Hayward's been just fantastic. Rozier, Brown, Baines, seeing him back,
especially
him defend, score. So they've really, it's been a combination of ball movement, crisp, exactly what Stevens wants. And then we've seen some guys like Kyrie and Hayward have some really good shooting nights. So they've been very, very good. Third quarter, trending a little bit in the other direction. I think the lead was up to 15 at one point. Now it's 4. So I'm starting to get a little tense, but never did I expect Toronto to lay down and die, right?
Yeah.
So I knew, despite the big second quarter, that we'd be in for a dogfight, and here we are, 2-point game.
Yeah, we established, Chuck and I, just before we came on live with you guys, that my feed, for whatever reason, is maybe 15 seconds ahead of his, so I get to be the spoiler for him right now. But, as he said, 2-point game, about 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter, and you go back to that first quarter, like you said, 36 points allowed by the C's. The defense was sloppy. They had the 5 turnovers that I think the Raptors had 10 points off of, and so that allowed them to take that. It was 36-30 after 1. And then that bench, that's the big thing. That's what we've been talking about so much. A lot of people want to make it because first Kyrie Irving did and then Jaylen Brown didn't, answering back the whole veterans versus kids aspect to what are the expectations? You haven't been through this. I have. Stop pointing fingers. Stop making comments. We should all be on the same page and support each other and all of that stuff. When in reality, a large part of it, too, was balance and the rotation. And Terry Rozier making the comment in that, I think it was a Yahoo article, you can have too much talent and that be a bad thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but you're seeing right now what things – can look like when you have, like you said, Hayward, Brown, Rozier, Baines, all guys that are fully capable of, maybe not so much Baines, but the others starting on other teams on a regular basis that are currently coming right now. That allows them to, the top 5 guys, as it were, that starting unit, save for Kyrie Irving, it doesn't have to be lights out every night if you just get something out of the other guys. You need this team to give you a good 5-6 guys every single night in order to really compete and win and beat these good teams. And then they can be what we've always said they should be.
Yeah. So what, right. So to kind of echo off of what you were saying, that was what the beauty of having all this depth was, that we thought, all we needed was 40% of these guys to do what they're capable of, and the Celtics would still be right there in every game. So it hasn't been that way, obviously. And for me, I mean, I understand what Kyrie's trying to convey. What needs to happen is,
not the right way to do it.
That's exactly right. Let's get this out of the media, because it's just gone over the top with he likes to talk, and that's part of the problem, right? He ends up talking too much when the message may be accurate, but he just talks a little bit too much. And then you got Brown chirping back, and then we saw the Morris and the Brown huddle. So these guys need to keep it to themselves. I thought Rozier's comments, going into a big game, the last thing I want is a little bit of bulletin board material for the opposing team to say, hey, look, hey, Kawhi, hey, Kyle, this team thinks they have too much talent. So I prefer if they all kind of pipe down a bit. But I think that's, I think some of these guys are still kind of feeling their way with, I think Kyrie even talked about it, growing into maybe a leader. And some of these other guys are trying to find their spot with, what they need to say and how they need to play. So the chemistry isn't just on the court. It's also how these guys are interacting, how they're communicating with one another.
Tell you this, and we're obviously both watching as we talk. This is something that makes me happy, that provides me a sense of relief, Chuck, because I've been talking to people about this on Twitter all day long. Some of those numbers came out. I think it was a Ringer post about just how bad Al Horford has been this year, especially defensively, and how ineffective. And we know that he's viewed as the captain of this team in many ways, the leader of this team, the vocal leader, at least in that room, as the mature guy, the older guy, but also the anchor defensively. And not just that, the offense rolls through him and all of that stuff, all the things that we've been talking about since his arrival here. And he has not been that guy this year. And maybe the knee injury and other setbacks have factored into that equation. They probably have, but it enters sort of that bigger picture question that we won't dive into now of what does that mean for this upcoming summer? Does he opt into his deal? Are they going to restructure him, extend him a little bit with, more years but a lower average annual value and all that stuff, the stuff that Ainge has to worry about. But what's a relief tonight is Al Horford looks good. He just had a couple of big buckets there. The and one, late in the third quarter, Celtics up by 5, obviously, about a minute left. He's been aggressive on the inside. He's taken some contact. He's still playing the limited minutes because he has to, dealing with that injury. But outside of that fact, he's not been shying away and playing more timid the way that he has been a lot of late. He's, this is a guy, if he can turn around, I don't care so much what he's doing right now as much as what is he doing come April. And if he can build off of what he's doing over the next couple of months, it makes all the difference in the world.
100% agree with you. I think, for me, it was when we first learned about his knee injury, and then it kind of dawned on me that, wow, Al's 32. 32-year-old centers with nagging knee injuries, even albeit not serious, there's going to be this is the start of a slow decline. It's just the way it's going to be. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of them kind of managing his minutes and his workload. We're definitely going to need him to be the anchor defensively still. But also he's very important offensively, right? Because you watch the first quarter, the one
he's got almost 20 points.
Was the pick and pop and the pick and roll he had going with Kyrie. That looks good, right? And when Al's getting those open 3-pointers, we know he can more or less knock those down. So he's constantly moving the ball. He's important on both ends. So Baines coming back kind of keeps Al in that, let's get him in that 25 to 27 minute range, maybe even less. If this team could actually blow some teams out, we might get even more rest. But yeah, I'm with you. Let's just see Al build, get a little bit of that, kind of some continuity with his game. And I think he'll be okay. Those numbers in the Ringer were ugly. I didn't think he had regressed that much, but I think he'll be better than that.
All right, 3 quarters in the book. Celtics up by 4, so big fourth quarter on the way. And while we've got a little time, we'll get to keys to the fourth quarter and all that. But let's take a look at what some of you out there are saying. James on the app, is this the C's having a great game, or are the Raptors off a bit tonight? And is that credit to the Celtics or blame for Toronto? How do you view that? I've got my thoughts, but you go ahead first.
You could. I don't honestly. I don't know how to answer that. I think that can apply to just about any game, any night in the NBA. Right? Their
sure.
schedules always play a factor in this. For me, I'm seeing the Celtics offensively. They look pretty damn good. I'm not sure what the shooting percentages are still. But Toronto's a heck of a defensive team, and with Leonard,
I'll tell you, Celtics are shooting 51%, 45 from 3, and they're 82.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. I mean, I don't buy that this is an off night for Toronto. I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it that way.
No, it's exactly where I was going to go. It'd be easy to say, "Oh, Toronto hasn't quite whatever." I think Toronto is playing perfectly fine. It's not as though I'm pulling up some of the numbers. Toronto, you know how many times Toronto's turned the ball over? 6. That's how many turnovers Kyrie Irving has by himself. Celtics have 11 turnovers in this game. Toronto's not shooting poorly, at least, overall. They're at 46%. They're miserable from 3 at 5 out of 20. I think this is a credit to the Celtics. Celtics offense, especially those, the reserves, the bench unit that we've talked about, doing great, although 17 points apiece now for Irving and Horford both, with the 16 off the bench from Hayward, but a lot of balance. I mean, you could look at it. The starters, the Celtics starters are getting outplayed. Every single guy in that starting unit is a minus player. In fact, Marcus Morris is a negative 12. All the bench guys, the 4 that have played, and Brad Stevens has tightened things up. He's only gone 9 deep, so just the 4 off the bench, Hayward, Baines, Rozier, and Brown, they are all at least plus 10. So that's been the difference in this one. The Celtics are having a good game. And, defensively, they have that was that long stretch in the second quarter where the Raptors go 8 minutes without a field goal, without maybe even without a point. I don't remember. Definitely without a field goal. So they're playing that much better, and I think they're responding again to that challenge of being at home. I want to tell you, by the way, before the fourth quarter starts, you can jump on the fan line with us. You can be with us face to face, just like Chuck and I are. We can see whatever's in the background to your place, if it's as crazy and distracting as mine, or a little calmer as we've got over there at McKenny's place. You can hop in the fan line, top right corner. Come on, face to face with us, like I said, here on FanCred. So make sure you join us. But another one here from John. Greg Monroe. Should Greg Monroe be doing anything productive against a team like us? What do you think? And I'll tell you, by the way, he has 7 points, 4 rebounds in his 9 minutes against.
No, I mean I don't have a problem with that. I mean, Toronto. It's funny because when I was in and out of the second quarter, and the one time I checked in, I saw him miss an easy basket at the rim, and for me that brought back my Celtics memories of Greg Monroe. Him missing around the rim is just what I'll always remember about Monroe. But I wouldn't worry about that. But just to kind of piggyback off what you said, the Celtics are still, one of their issues all season is getting to the free throw line, right? So there's still, I think Toronto's doubled up them on free throw attempts.
Yeah, Celtics are 9 out of 11, 16 out of 18
so
for Toronto.
Toronto's, limiting turnovers. They're getting to the line. The Celtics are falling. I mean, that's not exactly like saying Toronto's having an off night. I mean, so that's not the case.
No, you know what it is, and it's the anti-Houston Rockets, if you will. Who I saw a tweet. I think that the Rockets had taken 35 3-pointers just at halftime. I don't know how many they had even made, but the Houston Rockets are everything that I hate about the NBA. Whereas the Raptors, coming back the other way, they've got 50 points in the paint so far in this game of their 83 points. They're doing it the other way. The Celtics aren't far off. They have 40 points in the paint in this one, but that's not always their game. I like to see that they're being more aggressive, that they're going inside, that they're trying to draw a little bit more contact and maybe get to the line and not just all finesse around the rim. But these are some of the challenges that this team has to face as it tries to figure out how it matches up with some of the better teams and elite teams, which the Celtics should be part of that club. We all know that. And just what kind of team they're going to be. Can they really play with everyone in all different styles, as it seems like personnel-wise they should be able to? We've seen them go against teams like the Rockets. We've seen them put up 50-plus three-pointers in a game. But, that's not the style, I think, where they are at their best. I think what they're doing tonight, maybe not quite defensively. I'd like to see them not allowing 83 points early in the fourth quarter. But, offensively, this is the type of team that I think they should be for the most part.
So, I think, and I have referred back to this a few times, it was that Memphis Grizzlies comeback where the Celtics really chipped away, and Brad cited, he called it that they were hitting singles. And I think sometimes this team doesn't do that. And so the jump shots seem to be drying up a little bit. So I'd like to see them try to hit more singles, right? Get to the rim. doesn't necessarily have to mean you're going to be drawing contact, but when the jump shots aren't falling, like, you know, Tatum with his desire or his need to shoot contested twos, get to the rim.
He's still learning, just a kid. Hey, let's bring in a guest while we've got one joining us face-to-face on the fan line. Tim Whelan, sports director for Wicked Local Newspapers, is on the fan line. Tim, let's bring you in, pal. What's going on?
How are you, Chuck?
Hey, Tim. How are you?
Pretty great, guys.
Being with us.
I actually had I wanted to ask you guys kind of a quirky question for how you like to view games, especially when it's a national game.
Sure.
Do you prefer the local feed, or do you go to ESPN and get your Van Gundy fix?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I love Van Gundy. I really do, and I like to listen to him as much as I can, unless I have that local option. I don't know. For me, you know, I grew up here. I can sit, even aside from the fact that I've been fortunate enough to interview Gorman so many times that I like to think of him as a friend. Above all of that, I just love listening to the guy. Like, I grew up with Mike Gorman calling games, and obviously I don't just speak for myself. I speak for many. I miss Tommy on the broadcast, and hopefully he gets well and gets back real soon. I'll take Scal from time to time, but if I get as good as Mike Breen is, or whoever's doing the local game or the national game tonight, if I can pick Gorman over just about anyone else, I'm going to do it. But what about you?
Jones, right? Is it Steve? Or no? Who am I thinking of? Yeah, it's definitely Van Gundy. But I if it's a national option, I prefer the national option because you get the local guys so often. I know I was living in Colorado for the last couple of years, and just having it on national TV, I still get that kind of like little kid with your guy in the All-Star game thing where you just like to see.
I get that.
Looks different. I don't know, something different about the national presentation, and you get to hear some kind of it's like the Cliff Notes version of your team. You get kind of the lead paragraph.
Well, you know what it is, though? You know what's irritating about that, Tim and Chuck? I'm sure you could speak to this too, because you're like me on Twitter. You like to call out the hot take people, especially the national people. What drives me batty, and I don't need to. If you're educated, and Van Gundy I put in this category. If you're educated and you know what you're talking about, and you've been around the league, and you're not just out there spewing whatever the first crap that comes out of your mouth, great. I want to hear your opinion. But there are a lot of commentators out there and former players that are included in this, that don't necessarily fit that bill, that I don't even care at all what they have to say. Like, there was somebody, I don't know who it was, maybe it was Mark Jackson or maybe whoever on that broadcast, somebody tweeted out earlier that they were saying, oh, Marcus Smart, he's a pretty good defender.
Celtics Twitter,
Like, you think? Yeah, I think Marcus Smart's a pretty freaking good defender. Like, I want to listen to people who have a clue what they're talking about with my team.
Yeah, I mean, I would say hands down the worst announcers are on TNT, right? Reggie Miller is awful. I have a hard time listening to him. They have great.
Oh, he's terrible.
They have great play-by-play guys, but I think their color guys, their stable it's very weak. And I love Van Gundy too. Jackson's awful. Breen, it depends on who they're playing, because if they're playing LeBron, Breen will just massage him and compliment him to the point where it's just nauseating, and I can't even stomach it anymore. So, to answer your question, 90% of the time I'm with Comcast. Sometimes I'll want to hear a little bit from the other announcers, but I do have some. There are some that just drive me absolutely bananas.
Sure. I do recall.
CB says, always go local, love Scal. Jason on the app says, can't take LeBron talk on anything national. Was a lot of that the last couple of years. Let me ask you guys this, because we've got a good game going. So, 90-89 Toronto up right now, about 7.5 minutes left. What do you need to see? Chuck, you can go first. What do you need to see here in this fourth quarter in terms of the key? Like, is it go to Kyrie and get the hell out of the way? Or do you want to see a little bit of him being deferential and getting his teammates involved and just look for the good shots? Because we know he's capable of taking over. He's willing to take over, but that isn't always at least at this stage, is still not quite midway through the fourth, what's best for the team. Like, he just turned it over again.
Yeah, but I would say that the tide seems to be I thought he was trying to draw a foul there, but again, I think you're a little bit ahead of me. The tide seems to be turning where the Celtics are missing a lot of jump shots. So when they seem to be struggling is when I want Kyrie to kind of carry them on their shoulders. He's distributed the ball tonight, so I don't think
he also turned it over 7 times.
Yeah. I mean that's fair, but I did see him have double digit assists, so that's right.
Yeah, he's had a dozen. I mean, he's been better than he has been bad. There's no question about that. But I don't know. I'm starting to, and maybe I'm nitpicking based on that road trip and a lot of the comments, but like, you got a 9-0 Raptors run right now. I feel like after that last bucket by Toronto, you had a little bit of body language under the hoop by Kyrie. Baines with a 3 here to even things up. So we'll see what, I don't know what direction they need to go offensively. And it looks like, I mean, this is going to be your, other than Rozier maybe, and we'll see what Brad does coming out of the timeout, but this is about as good defensively as a lineup as you're going to hope to have on the court for the duration. But we're going to see Hayward again. We're going to see Al again for sure. Smart will be there at the end. I wonder how much Tatum we're going to see in this last 6 minutes, because that's a guy, obviously, that offensively, you know what he's capable of, but defensively, Timmy's regressed from what he did last year.
Am I mistaken, or in this game, if it's starters on starters, of the Celtics not fared as well? I kind of want the end of this game to replicate what a playoff game would look like and have Kyrie kind of take over. I don't want to turn into a one-on-one with a Kyrie Kawhi matchup, but it seems like the Celtics are infinitely more deep than the Raptors. Just looking at the Raptors bench outside of Van Vliet, it looks like that's where the Celtics were able to take advantage in this game. But if you put star on star, 5-on-5 right now for the starters, it looks like the Raptors are the ones who have a slight advantage. I might be a tick behind you guys. I have, but I think it just went to timeout commercial. Baines just hit that shot. So.
Yeah, I mean, we got a tie game right now with 6.5 to play, and you're right. I mean, quite frankly, like, it's sort of embarrassing when you look at it, guys, because the Raptors bench is crap. Like you mentioned Van Vliet, and Van Vliet is a very good player who had a very good year last year, especially. He hasn't, I don't think, done as much this year, but he has 0 points. He's 17 minutes. He hasn't scored yet. All of their offense off the bench has come from Greg Monroe with 11 points, who should be a dinosaur in this league and not able to do anything. And then Powell. Powell's got 9 points. Other than that, it's nothing.
Right. So they're down two rotation players, right? Valanciunas has been out.
Sure.
And then also OG, whatever his name is. So I think so they're definitely missing a few of their rotation players. Not trying to make any excuses, but that would add to the reason why their bench isn't performing. I want Tatum on the floor. He's 3 for 13, but I want him on the floor. I don't think I want him on the floor. Final minute.
Maybe his new self-lacing sneakers can take him back through time to a point where he was hitting his jumpers.
Tell you what, Rozier's sneakers or something else, just from HD. Those things are, I don't know. What are they, fluorescent orange and green, and what is it? Puma's treating him nice.
Yeah, well, it's always the Pumas. It's all about that drip. He'll tell you. You got to have that drip. Tim, we appreciate you hopping on the fan line with us, man. We'll do it again soon for sure. All right, Tim Whelan again, and hopefully we'll hear from him again as we go on future broadcasts. From Ben, am I crazy to think this could still get ugly here down the stretch if the C's don't hit some shots quick? Well, what do you think? You got a tie game right now, Chuck, with a whole hell of a lot of time left, 6.5 minutes. There potential for getting ugly?
Well, I mean, ugly to me is them losing this game, right? So I don't feel good.
Especially when you're up,
I don't
15?
know what their percentage is over the last 4 or 5 minutes, but it seems to be an awful lot of jump shots are coming off the rim. So unless they're going to start going to the line, then yes, this does have the potential to slip away from them. So it's either the jump shots start falling, Kyrie starts taking over, or they start getting to the free throw line. Which one of those things do you think is going to happen? I
don't feel so good about the free throw line.
Right. And the way they're trending with the jump shots. So we could use a couple of smart energy plays here, right? If Marcus just somehow does his thing and gets him a couple easy buckets, that could be a big boost because we could help with getting the crowd really going. That's a tough matchup. I mean, it's watch, but every time Kawhi scores over Marcus, I think, man, he's got quite the size advantage there.
Yeah, Jeff just said Kawhi just undressed Smart. Ouch. So you got a Kawhi bucket followed by an Irving bucket, and again a 94 all game. Raptors just scored again. But where I was starting to go with that is that's what I'm worried about. Is this turning into that, like, you know, Pierce LeBron Game 7 of that? What was it? The 2000 and was it 8 or 10? I'm trying to think. Was it 8? Yeah, I think it was 8. That's what I'm worried. I'm worried about Kawhi taking this thing over and Kyrie thinking about taking this game over because, again, he's got the ability, but I'm not so sure this is a situation where just yet with 5 minutes to go he needs to. I think he can still spread it around. I don't want the offense to become too stagnant and too predictable. That's what I worry about right now.
I hear you, but I also see you a lot of missed jump shots. So I'm concerned about that. The Celtics, when they go cold, it seems like they go into the deep freeze. So
they're Kawhi again.
So I'm at 96-94 with 5:16 to go. What do you have?
Yeah, we got to stop it here because Leonard got hit, so he's going to go to the line. So we're in the same spot here. Got 25, efficient 8 out of 14. Hasn't missed a free throw.
That's
I didn't know though. I didn't know coming into the year if that was going to be Kawhi. Like, yes, that is Kawhi, and that's who he always was. That's who he has been this year. But I wasn't so sure after missing last year that he was going to be that guy. But I mean, sure enough, he's going to be right back there in the MVP conversation, like he's always been.
I think what was most startling about him last year was the attitude shift. It just seemed like Spurs never had this problem, and for Leonard to speak up or to act in that way where he had never exhibited that sort of behavior before, it was just so surprising. But it seems like he's shifted right back to being healthy, being dominant, and carrying that team.
You'll like this here, Chuck.
So
that's what I'm saying. You're gonna start to see some one-on-one here. I mean, not in the literal sense, but Kawhi versus Leonard, and who's the last man standing, or Kawhi versus Kyrie. Pardon.
Yeah, 5 minutes is still a lot for Kyrie to kind of carry this team, but if he's getting to the line, if we're getting in ones, I still think we need some smartness. We need some smartness to kind of help us turn the momentum or build some momentum for Boston.
So I wonder if they stay with this lineup for still a little while left, obviously, but all right. Horford 3, back within 1, 4.5 minutes left. Again, Al Horford's having himself a game.
You're killing me with this time difference.
You want me to just leave you in suspense? Just
no, I mean that's tough. I don't expect you to bottle it up, but I still don't think ESPN.
You look at your TV, and I'll just give a silent fist pump.
But it's tough. Wow.
Well, we got a timeout here. Matthew wants to know, is Kawhi the MVP? What are the odds he stays in Toronto, you think? Well, I'll tell you right now, I think right now James Harden's the MVP. It'll go right back to him with just what he's been doing offensively. But that's the big question. Above all MVP and any of that, and Kawhi, 11 points this quarter. That's the question is he going to stay in Toronto? And when he was traded there, my immediate answer was no, there's absolutely no chance in hell. The guy doesn't even want to leave his hotel room when it's too cold during the All-Star break a few years back. Why in the world would he re-sign there? As the season goes on, if they have any level of real success, like let's say they go to the NBA Finals, which is incredibly realistic, I don't know. I mean, you could see him taking the money and staying put. He's a guy that likes to, he doesn't care about the social scene. He's not worried about going out and partying and being in South Beach or LA or wherever. The only LA thing was the home factor more than anything.
I agree with you. I mean, I think him staying would be kind of like that's the old Kawhi, right? That's he'll get comfortable. He'll want to stay there. And I'm just seeing Tatum take that to the hoop. And hopefully he finishes the 3-point play. Don't ruin it for me. But
I won't.
Yeah, I could see him staying there, but then again, if he decides to go to play for the Clippers, then I would say okay, he's being advised.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
Yeah,
for.
I want him out, right?
Get the hell out of the East. Yeah, get out of the East. Go share a building with LeBron, and hopefully on a different team. That's the dream scenario. So Smart coming out now with 3:54 to go. That's interesting. So I wonder, there's no way he's out for the rest. He's going to be on the floor unless they decide to stick with their core five, which is how, by the way, they ended the first half, the second quarter. They could do that, but I don't know. I feel like you got to get Smart back in with 2-3 minutes left. This just feels like a blow to me.
Yeah,
what about you?
Again, I can't check the box score, but I'm not. Has Smart played 8 straight minutes here? Is it something where Brad come on the floor for
that? I don't know. He's at 28 overall, but I can't tell you how many in a row.
So it's possible
he
just wants to give him a quick rest. I mean, it's not easy going up against Leonard. That would be my guess. But if Brad can go offense defense later in the game, he often does that. But it's too early for that. So your guess is as good as mine on that front.
Yeah, well, it looks like so far, at least on the Toronto side, we're seeing exactly what I said with 6 minutes left that I feared, which is just Kawhi. That's what it's been. They're just going to him, and he's delivering every time. Celtics are moving it around a little bit. Tatum's got some points, Horford the 3, Baines the 3, Irving's got some points as well. So balance, which is great, but what direction are they going to keep going? Because again, it's a 1-point game right now with 3:54 to go. Defense not exactly at a premium here in this moment. Haven't seen a whole lot on Hayward offensively in a while. I mean, he had 16 points in the first half, shot real well. I think he was 7 out of 8. He's been cold here in this second half. He's only got 2 points, and he's 1 out of 5 from the field. I don't know if you go back to him.
Well, again, I think they're gonna just try to they're gonna work the ball, and whoever's open is gonna take the shot. They don't aside from Irving, I don't think they're going to be designating any sort of particular matchups here. Maybe they go back to a little bit of the Irving and Horford pick and roll, and we can see what materializes off of that. Al seems to be having a good offensive game, so I would be up for that. But it's tough. It depends. Toronto has some really good defenders, so I'm not sure what the matchups are.
All right, you can join us on the FanCred fan line you can access that in the top right corner of your screen. You can Tim did a little while ago, join us face to face, and we can all hang out, watch the end of this thing as Chuck and I are doing, obviously. And I mean, it's going to be a fun finish. Hopefully, it ends well because both these teams can justify, obviously, deserving to win this game. Toronto got off to the hot start, the 11-point lead early. Celtics turned that into an 11-point lead of their own come halftime. Got up by 15 in the third quarter. It's since fallen apart a little bit. Now just kind of trading baskets, little mini runs, but nothing substantial. Kevin wants to know, you feel that Tatum and Brown have been more tentative when pulling up from 3? I don't know. I don't feel like I've totally seen that. Maybe Tatum, but not Brown.
No, I don't agree with that at all.
What are the numbers here? Tatum's 0 for 2. Brown is 1 out of 3. As a team, they're shooting about 43%. But
it's nothing where I've seen them bypass 3-point shots for something else. I mean, no.
I'm starting to think Brown's never seen a shot he doesn't like anyway.
All right, we need some defense.
There you go. Oh, it's hard not to react.
You're killing me. It's brutal.
I'm just waiting to get down to 15 seconds, and one of these teams has an opportunity for a game-winning shot, and I can't react to it for another 15 seconds until you can see it too.
That was a huge miss there. I know there's going to be many more possessions, but that sequence there.
Yeah, if you lose by one, that's a lay-in that you got to bury.
Yeah.
All right, 3 minutes to go. Celtics down by one. They got the ball. Well, no hesitation from Jason Tatum there.
Oh, there you go.
No hesitation at all.
I'm watching them box out for the defensive rebound, thinking what? But
Ben, Tatum with new shoes and the tattoo. Not sure what this makes me think about him, but maybe it's just tonight. Well, I don't think the new tattoo is just for tonight. I can tell you that, Ben. And I saw someone tweeted a picture of the tattoo before the game. Is it him and his mom or something like that? I didn't.
Me neither. I saw somebody with a leg tattoo of a couple things.
Yeah, I didn't pay close attention to it, but the shoes, I don't think those are just for tonight because they're trying to sell these $350 new Nike sneakers. So I think he's going to wear these a little bit, but I don't think it's impacted his game. It's not like he's rolled an ankle or anything like that. He's not shooting great, but I'm not one of those that thinks that's the shoes. So
we got to limit Danny Green here. We can't get buckets. We can't allow anyone outside of Lowry or Kawhi to get big shots. So they got Morris on Leonard now? Oh, they're just switching everywhere.
Yeah, they're just moving. That's ugly. All right. I thought they were going to get a foul. Kawhi wanted it. 24-second violation.
Oh. I'm sure my clapping isn't optimal for the audio. Sorry.
That's all right. From, let's see, Max. Is it just me or does Danny Green look particularly out of place, not in a Spurs uniform? That's true. But then again, so does Kawhi Leonard. And so does Tony Parker out there in Charlotte or wherever the hell. Oh,
that's the worst.
Goodness. Oh, you're going to like that one. I'm gonna spoil that one for you.
I love those 27-footers. Love those. Suddenly the lead's 5 in a blink. So that's big.
Got to crack down defensively now.
That's big. Minute 40.
All right. So you got about what did you say?
139. So.
From Kevin, a statement that I fully agree with. The Marcuses have to be on the floor the rest of the game. Definitely Smart. Morris not as important, but Smart for sure. Although Morris, don't get me wrong, he's a good defender.
Yeah, his offensively, this has been one of the few games this year where he hasn't really had his jump shot. But I think if you're looking at his defense versus Hayward's, I would take Morris, 99% of the time. So I think at this point, that's what Brad's gonna go for. So
I was gonna bring this up, and we just saw a replay, and James just asked us about it. And this is, we spend so much time reading into every little single freaking detail of things the guys say and do and think and all of that. James just asked, Kyrie popping the jersey, is that a statement for the C's going forward? How do you read that?
How do I read that? No, I don't have. I mean, he just nailed a huge 27-foot shot. I think.
Sure, but he could have high-fived teammates. He could have pointed to the air. He could have fist pumped. He pulled the Garnett. He took the Boston out and pumped it out to the crowd. That's do you take that as a hey, I'm happy we're getting crap together sign?
Sounds good to me.
Sure.
Let's see some defense here.
Big board. Wouldn't you guess who it is?
Oh, yeah. Okay,
it's always Marcus.
We want to run this down for as long as we can.
Got both Marcuses, Kyrie, Tatum, and Horford. Bucket.
You're killing me.
Sorry. Sorry.
You and your Verizon are going to be a problem if you continue to do this. Now I'm feeling pretty good.
This thing's over. It's over. 7 points under a minute. Reggie Miller's not walking into the building, folks. Oh, boy.
Oh, the lob. Nothing like a punctuation mark from Big Al throwing it down.
Al Horford, ooh.
So this has been – so they've run off 9 straight points? Is that what I heard? So they closed this game on a 9-0 – well, it's not over yet, but this is a huge –
Oh, it's over.
Right, but I mean, there could be –
not officially over.
This – I mean, I was not feeling this vibe from this team. So not only did they clamp down on Toronto, then they started to make buckets in different ways. We had the 3 from Kyrie, we had the 3 from Tatum, we had the dunk from Horford. Who else?
Yeah.
So it's been a little bit of everything. Maybe Kyrie had another bucket in there. So.
Kyrie's got 27 and a career high 17 assists, Jeff.
Wow. Does he have the triple double with 10 turnovers or no?
he's got 7.
I mean, fantastic.
Tatum's got a double-double, 14 and 10. Horford, 24 points, 7 boards, 18 off the bench for Hayward. Balance, man.
Absolutely. And it's that's what you want to see, right? What we talked about earlier. So Hayward was huge in the second quarter when the team really needed them. In the second half, Hayward's faded, but boom, Kyrie stepped up. He's starting to carry. So they have so much talent that when one guy sinks, the other guy rises. How's that? You like that? Does that make sense?
I like that. It's poetic.
10 points in the fourth quarter. It's 9-0.
Marcus, I tell you, Smart is always just right in the middle of it. Rebound, blocking foul, whatever the hell.
Lowry's, over the last couple of years, I don't think he's always been this way, but he's been an annoying flopper. Like, just really bad. I don't remember him being that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me.
I don't either. Ugly. They're just desperate. They're just heaving now. Put it in. See you later.
Beautiful.
That's 18 assists for Kyrie.
Wow.
That is stupid. So you got 27.
It's tied at 106. This is spectacular. Just a spectacular finish. This is what we wanted from him, right? If you're going to talk the talk, right? He's walking the walk. It wasn't just the buckets, 18 assists. I mean, I don't expect this from him too many other times, but this is spectacular.
So they closed the game on a 13-2 run.
Wow. Whew.
So we got this from a few people. Max says Celtics back. Gray says this would make a decent playoff series, huh? Yeah, I mean, this would be I was thinking about early in the game before it was even looked like this. I was thinking, boy, this would be a fun conference finals. Yeah, this would be a fun playoff series. What do you think? I know we're going to get out of here soon, Chuck, but I mean, what does one game mean to you? Because they had all that success, the 4-game winning streak. They go on the road and it's all the infighting and they play terribly and they lose to some bad teams. They come back home. They're fully healthy for the first time in, I think, 20 games since the last time they had a full healthy roster. It was December 6th was the last time. So it's been a long time. And they beat the best team in the NBA on their floor. Well, on the Celtics floor. I mean, are they back? What do you take from this?
I think we needed this win to kind of push everything back, all the noise, kind of temper all the noise. Because had they lost tonight, the fans and the media, it would have been. So it was necessary, right? And I don't want to use that word must, but it was a necessary win. But it's only as good as the next couple games, right? And what we've seen, we had that streak, and then to lose to Miami and Orlando and then Brooklyn, it was just like So necessary, but again, they need to stockpile wins. That's when I'll start to say this is the team is reaching the level that I think they're capable of.
So they pick up a game on Toronto, moved to, I think, 6 back now, 26-18. They're, they're off tomorrow, but it's right back to work. It's going to be busy. Friday, they're hosting Memphis. Saturday, they got that back-to-back. They're in Atlanta. Fortunately, the Hawks blow. But I think 7 out of the next 8. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the next 8 after tonight. Or no, including tonight. So 7 of 8, including tonight, are at home. So this is a good opportunity to reel off some wins and maybe make people forget about that road trip a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully, right? I keep waiting for that corner to be turned, right? This is where we turn the corner. This is
well, I'm glad that you used that phrase because Joshua just writes, win doesn't mean jack. If I hear C's have turned the corner one more time.
I didn't say it. I'm just waiting for it.
Yeah. Oh, it's true. Every time, and I've never – if you listen to my podcast at all, I don't think at all this year I've been the Celtics have turned a corner guy. I really haven't because they haven't shown me that. But I've done it with a couple of, I've wondered about a couple of players at times. Like, has Jaylen Brown turned a corner? Has Gordon Hayward turned a corner? Never the team on the whole. And I think what we've come to learn is just nobody yet has, nobody, no thing. Nothing has. There have been we still see corners that we have to walk around.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be more of a progressive or incremental thing. I think has been really strong since Christmas. Although he'll have 3 games, then he'll have a stinker, then he'll have a couple more games. So it would be nice to see Hayward kind of fit into that pattern. So they're building and they're building.
Yeah.
And I think as those guys do that, we're going to see them win. More often than not, win 7 out of 10. They might lose a couple, then rattle off 5 more. So I think that's what we need to see. I'm not so sure it'll be like we saw last year at the beginning when they won 16 games in a consecutive winning streak or something. So I think it's going to be, if it makes sense, that it's not going to be that sort of remarkable. Just one man's opinion. I'm often wrong about these sorts of things.
I'm going to be, to steal from you, I'm going to be an asshat on Twitter real quick, and I'm just going to tweet out, Kyrie Irving missed the triple-double by 3 turnovers.
Just don't. Better you than me.
Yeah. That'll fire people up before bed. All right. I think it's probably a good time for us to get out of here. We will definitely do this again. You'll see more of these Celtics fourth quarter live broadcasts. I don't know how many you and Adam Jones have done to this point, but I'm confident in saying that this has been the best game that you have had because this was a great one against Toronto. So hopefully more of those to come. Thanks to Cam, who's making all this happen for us as well. And thanks for letting me into your living rooms or wherever it is that you're watching this game. Chuck, pleasure to work with you, and I'm confident we'll do it again.
Likewise.
Sure.
See you soon.
All right, it's been Celtics fourth quarter live here on FanCred. We'll talk to you again soon. Make sure you join us for Patriots coverage with a big one coming up on Sunday, AFC title game out in Kansas City if you haven't heard. We'll talk to you again soon for